Okay, let's dive into this. Imagine a message from a king carved into a sheer cliff face over 2,500 years ago. It was this epic proclamation of power, a story of victory, and for the longest time, a complete and total mystery. I mean, for 2 millennia, people could literally look up and see it, but not a single soul on Earth could read it.
So there it is, high on this limestone cliff in what's now Iran, this absolutely massive carving just baffled travelers for centuries. You can see it, right? There's a powerful king, his defeated enemies, his god looking down, but all those thousands of tiny wedge-shaped marks all around them? They were completely silent. This was the Behistun inscription, and it was one of history's greatest locked-room mysteries.
So before anyone could even think about trying to read this thing, they had to deal with the fact that it was basically impossible to get to. The puzzle wasn't just about language, it was a seriously death-defying physical challenge.
Yeah, the carving starts 105 meters. That's about 350 feet straight up a vertical cliff. And it was right above a major ancient highway. This was completely on purpose, you know? It was designed to be seen by everyone, but never, ever touched, changed, or erased.
And this wasn't some hidden monument. No way. This was carved on what was basically ancient prime real estate. If you were traveling between the great centers of the Persian Empire, you would have seen it. And because nobody could read it, all these wild legends started to grow. Some people claimed it was made by the mythical queen Semiramis. But the truth? Well, the truth turned out to be even more amazing.
So the journey to finally crack this ancient code didn't start on some cliff in Persia. Nope. It started really quietly at a desk in Germany with a brilliant linguist and what was pretty much a scholarly bet.
Okay, so meet George Friedrich Grotefend. Now, this guy wasn't an adventurer, he was a school teacher, and back in 1802, he decided he was going to take a crack at the cuneiform puzzle. He didn't even have the massive Behistun text to work with, just a few shorter copies from other Persian ruins. But, you know what? That was enough for him to make the crucial first move.
This was just pure detective work. It's so cool. Grotefend kind of guessed that the inscriptions would probably name famous kings, right? Kings he knew about from Greek history books. He found this recurring phrase that he figured meant king. Then, and this is the genius part, he spotted a pattern. One king who is the son of another king, but his father was not a king. He goes to his history books and bang, a perfect match. King Xerxes, son of King Darius, whose father, Hystaspes, was a noble but never a king. Just like that, he had correctly identified 3 names and unlocked the sounds for several ancient letters. The code was starting to break.
So Grotefend had cracked the door open, but to really kick it down, someone needed to get a perfect, complete copy of the entire Behistun inscription. And that was going to require a totally different kind of person, a true man of action.
And here he is. Enter Sir Henry Rawlinson, a British Army officer stationed in Persia, a gifted linguist, and just a born explorer. When he saw that inscription, he knew he had to copy every single mark. He was absolutely the right person, in the right place, at the right time, with exactly the right amount of guts.
Let's just stop for a second and appreciate what this actually took. For years, Rawlinson repeatedly risked his life dangling from ropes, balancing on the very last rung of some rickety ladder hundreds of feet in the air, all just to meticulously draw every single wedge in line. At one point, he even hired a local kid who is known for being super agile to scramble across a chasm to get to the most impossible-to-reach parts of the text. It took him over a decade, but he did it. He got the complete text.
Okay, so with Rawlinson's perfect copies, scholars finally had the whole puzzle. And lucky for them, the ancient king who carved it had actually hidden the key to solving it right there, inside the puzzle itself.
Now, what's really interesting here is that this is why Behistun is often called the Rosetta Stone of Mesopotamia. You see, the king had his proclamation carved not once, but 3 times, in 3 different major languages of his empire: Old Persian, Elamite, and Babylonian Akkadian. It's the exact same message, just written in 3 different cuneiform scripts.
So the crucial point is, this gave them a clear path forward. Rawlinson and other scholars basically picked up where Grotefend left off. They use all those repeating names, Darius, Xerxes, Persia, as anchors to fully decipher the simplest text, the Old Persian. And once they had that full translation, well, they could use it like a guide, a dictionary, to unlock the other 2 much more complicated languages. It was just a matter of systematically comparing what they knew with what they didn't. And they cracked them all.
The code was broken. The languages of ancient Mesopotamia were silent no more. So after 2,500 years, What did the inscription finally say? What was this message that a king wanted the world to know so badly he carved it into a cliff?
For the first time in millennia, we could actually hear the voice of Darius the Great speaking to us directly from 522 BCE. I mean, that's just an electrifying moment in history, isn't it? The words of an ancient emperor, lost for ages, suddenly speaking again with this absolute, undeniable authority.
The text is basically part autobiography, part pure political propaganda. Darius tells this incredibly dramatic story of how he seized power from a guy he calls an imposter, and then just methodically crushed a whole series of rebellions to solidify his rule over the largest empire the world had ever seen. He makes one thing crystal clear. He is the rightful king, and he was chosen and favored by his god Ahura Mazda.
And this is what's so brilliant. The text brought the stone carving to life. All of a sudden, the figures weren't anonymous anymore. We now know that's King Darius. That guy under his foot? That's the defeated usurper, Gaumata. And the 9 guys bound in a line? Those are the liar kings he defeated. And that winged disc floating above it all? That's Ahura Mazda, giving his divine stamp of approval. The image and the text just locked together perfectly.
And this is why it all matters so much. Cracking Behistun didn't just let us read one king's story. It gave us the key to cuneiform itself. Suddenly, scholars could read everything: royal decrees, legal documents like the Code of Hammurabi, epic poems like the Epic of Gilgamesh. The libraries of ancient Mesopotamia were open for business again. Whole civilizations, the Babylonians, the Assyrians, the Persians, they were all given back their history.
You know, the story of Behistun is just this incredible testament to human curiosity and courage, from the intellectual puzzle solved at a desk to the death-defying feats on a cliff face. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other messages are still out there, locked away in stone or buried in the sand, just waiting for the right person to come along and finally read them?